We welcome to the program the Trump Organization Executive Vice President and host of Triggered with Don Jr., Donald Trump Jr. Hey, Don, how are you?
How's it going? Good to be with you guys.
It's good to be with you. I just talked to your sister-in-law, Laura, last hour, and we got the take on the convention. I don't know what their bold vision is, but based on the number of times they talked about your father, I think the bold vision for America is Donald Trump. I think that's what they're selling. I don't know exactly because I haven't really heard a vision.
It's sort of hard to believe. I haven't heard a vision. I've seen a lot of projection. I mean, the one that really got me was watching this lady. She got up there hysterical, saying that, if Donald Trump gets in there, he would do the unthinkable and he would weaponize the Justice Department against his political enemies. He would utilize the FBI to arrest them and go. And I'm sitting there being like, oh my God! Like, I honestly, I don't know. Do they not know? Have they not been watching for the last 3 years? I mean, it's really mind-boggling. I can't tell if they legitimately think that they're doing the right thing and that it's totally within the norm. And if we responded even remotely in kind, that would be some sort of violation of the standards that they've been breaking for years now. It's mind-boggling to me. I can't figure it out.
I know. We think that they either think that they're invincible at this point and they can say anything, or they believe in the Hitler line, repeat a lie long enough and it becomes the truth, or they just think their voters are just dumb as a box of rocks. Those are the only answers we can come up with.
You have no choice but to believe that at this point. Just look at them. I mean, I'm looking at the DNC, both inside and out, and I can't imagine too many Americans, want their children growing up in a country like that. There's fires and looting and rioting. They don't know what to agree upon amongst themselves. They're supporting terror organizations, and they're, giving out. I made a joke on my Triggered podcast on Rumble a couple of weeks ago about, hey guys, if the people who've been screaming about democracy, they're shoving it in your face, putting in Kamala Harris. She got 0 votes. They overrode the process. They set up a coup. If you really want to preserve democracy, vote Donald Trump. He'll fix the economy. He'll stop the wars. And, in 4 short years, you can go back to trying to do your drive-through abortions and all the other nonsense. And I said it tongue in cheek. And there's literally an abortion and vasectomy ban. To be clear, Glenn, I'm not entirely against, the vasectomy ban for the people at the DNC that I've seen so far. I mean, I got to be honest, it's probably a solid idea. I think they should use it, and perhaps we should raise the money to make sure it's available to them at all times for free. But, literally trying to make a parody of some of these things, they're actually doing those things in real life.
I know.
It's mind-boggling.
I know. And nobody's talking about what's outside besides the vasectomy trucks. And that's the extremist groups. There was some research that came out from Capital Research Center, and they had a very, very tight description of terrorist groups. It has to be somebody who has actually said or pledged support to one of these terrorist organizations like Al-Qaeda. They found 150 of these that support terrorism or identify as Marxist, communist, or I can't say it, and somebody who's into anarchy, and have said that they are coming out to collapse the government. And you have these groups passing things out. Armed resistance is the only answer. End Israel. Stand with Hamas. They're standing with the Muslim Brotherhood, the Communist Party of the Philippines, the Taliban. It's crazy, and nobody's talking about it.
And no one's talking about the obvious, which is, Kamala Harris hasn't done an interview in a month. They're letting her run the Joe Biden basement, hide her in the basement campaign because they understand she doesn't have, the personality to actually do these things proper. But, I mean, think of how insane that is. They're then usurping some of our ideas, but they go totally contrary to everything that Kamala Harris voted for. She's not going to do taxes on tips now, but she was the tie-breaking vote in the Inflation Reduction Act, which essentially put 86,000 IRS agents in there to literally go after people to make sure that their tips were being taxed. And no one No one says a word. She said she's going to shut down the border. Well, what's she been doing? Glenn, I'd argue she's the most powerful vice president we've probably had certainly in recent times, because she's serving under someone who we all acknowledge now, even the left acknowledges, is totally inept. He's been incapacitated for his entire presidency. She could have done any one of the things she's talking about doing, but opts not to. It's insane. Why didn't she do it? You could have done it over the last 3.5 years. Oh, you're going to do it now? Why don't you start today? You don't have to wait till January 20th. You're literally the most powerful person probably in government, because it ain't Joe Biden.
Yeah, I know.
He's not even president.
So you've been named to the transition team for your father, and can you give me some idea? Are you looking for people, or will you put people in that truly understand the depth of the deep state, and people that are willing to fire all of these people? I mean, it's going to take, excuse my expression, balls of steel to do this.
Oh, yeah. No, listen, that's literally why I wanted to be on transition. It's literally not to appoint actually a single person. It's to block all of the bad actors. And there's plenty of them. And that's the difference between now, and 16. 16, we didn't know. You had to fill, at the time there was 4,000 positions in the Plum Book, and that's the book that the president assigns these roles. It's like, we didn't know any of them. I mean, my father had spent 2 days in D.C. in his entire life prior to winning the presidency. We had no idea where to start. Now we know. We've seen the bad actors. We've seen what the ones who tell you they're going to be loyal, or 5 minutes after you win, they put out a nice tweet negating 7 years of hate, and those are the guys. The ones that are your supposed friends, they're actually much worse than the Democrats, because you assume they're actually doing the right thing by you because they supposedly believe these things. But even if they believe them, they're subverting you across the way. So I got on there, my brother got on, and the first thing we said is, those people aren't getting jobs. We don't want them in our administration. We don't need that. We got 4 years to fix something. Now we have an understanding of how that works. We know who the good people are and the bad people are. So, hey, it's beyond the 4,000 jobs, it's tens of thousands of jobs. So, I don't know that it'll be perfect, but I'm getting involved to make sure it's as perfect as it possibly can be.
Well, I am hoping that the price of housing in the D.C. area collapses because your father has won, and everybody knows, oh, crap, they're just going to be cutting all these jobs, and there's plenty of housing for people that are living around the Capitol. The endorsement from RFK, do you think that's coming?
Listen, I hope so. I think RFK, I think he's a smart guy. I think he's actually got very good views on certain things. I think there's some other things, we're going to disagree with him on. But I think it shows sort of a unity against, literally, you mentioned it before I hopped on, about the communism that we are up against. It's not hyperbole anymore. It's not like, oh, they're just a little bit more left than us. It's not, these people, she's talking about, we want to set up price fixing, and we want to set up this, and we're going to be auditing businesses, and we're going to take away your business, and we're going to take away your children if we, can't do, drive-through, transgender surgeries for minors without parental consent. They've lost their minds. And so, I love the idea. I love the idea of, giving him, some sort of role in some sort of, major, 3-letter entity or whatever it may be, and let him blow it up. I think that's what we need. And so I think that kind of unity, even where there may be certain disagreements on certain things, I think he could be a really great asset for that. I think he could bring people together. And I think it shows a strong, a strong opposition to what we are up against, which is just abject insanity. And I think if we had real unity across independents and others in America to stand up for what we know is coming, what the media is doing a very good job hiding from us, which is the reality of the Kamala Harris platform, which is just a continuation of the Biden administration's platform. We don't need another 4 years of this. What's unique with this election, we had 4 years under Trump. We've had 4 years under Biden. When were you better off? It's sort of a no-brainer. And yet, when you're up against the trillion-dollar institution of tech, $1 trillion of mainstream media functioning as the marketing arm of the Democrat Party, it's hard to get a fair shake. And so we have to expose that. And the more people that we had on board, the better. So I'd certainly be open and welcome to the idea, frankly.
I have to tell you, and I asked your sister-in-law this about an hour ago. There are things coming out of the White House right now. For instance, new nuclear strategy to go against China, Russia, and North Korea at the same time. Nuclear solutions. And there's no way this president got up in the morning and said, you know what, I'm worried about this, and we've got to put these things. Who is the president of the United States? Because the person that is controlling it now is going to be the person that controls it when Kamala gets in. And it doesn't seem like it matters to anyone that this guy isn't running the country right now. Who is?
I honestly, I couldn't tell you. I assume it's one of the Obama lackeys, of Susan Rice or Valerie Jarrett, or some of the really bad actors that we've seen, working abroad, starting wars and continuing them forever. But I mean, think about that. I mean, coming up with nuclear plans. Now, we are much closer to nuclear war, and that's even according to Biden's own administration, than we have been since the Cuban Missile Crisis. But we made that happen. We gave Putin every excuse he needed to invade Ukraine. I'm not saying he's a good guy. I'm not saying he wouldn't have done it maybe eventually anyway, but the deal breaker was always moving NATO into Ukraine, and so we had a 1,000-mile-long buffer zone. And we just said, you know what, let's get rid of that buffer zone. We'll put NATO right up on Russia's border. So if they were going to do it, we certainly gave them every excuse imaginable. They had a peace deal ready early on in this thing. They would have signed it. But no, we wanted to keep the war machine going. The war machine watched, Big Pharma get rich during COVID. And they said, no, it's our turn back at the trough. We hadn't had a war in like 6 weeks. It's time to make some more money again. It's asinine. But these people are morons, and they have no incentive to actually get to peace, right? You stop this war by cutting off the money. Again, the second that goes away, they're at the table in 2 seconds. Certainly Zelensky is. And that's how you're going to negotiate peace. My father understands how to do that. Kamala Harris not only doesn't understand how to do it, but she has no desire to do it because her friends are probably getting rich from it.
Yeah. It's a remarkable time that we live in, and we pray for you and your family every day. We pray for our country as well. I am more convinced than ever as you watch things unfold over in Europe that this whole thing is a show. Your father is, I believe, the only man that can make a difference and stop this global takeover of the West. But we're getting down to the wire. What's happening over in Europe, nobody is paying attention to. But how did we get all of the same policies in every Western country that is setting every Western country on fire? And the America First agenda is the way to stop it.
Hunter, I'm watching what's going on over in the UK where that little, clown police chief, we're going to extradite and arrest people for breaking, you say a mean tweet and they're going to arrest you in America, extradite you to the UK and put you in jail. I'm saying people, literally. People like, we really hate that these illegal immigrants are curb stomping us in the street. We really think that's terrible. How dare you say that about the immigrants? You know what happens to the person actually doing the curb stomping? Nothing. They're probably on a government voucher program getting money to beat the crap out of the people in the country that took them in. It's mind-boggling. And I'm watching these people. I'm watching the videos of the judges handing out these sentences for 20 months, 24 months for people that are just like, hey, man, I'm sick of this crap. What's going on? It's not even a racist. It's just it's not hate speech. It's just common sense. It's basic vernacular. That, hey, I don't want to get beat up in my streets, and it's only happening because of this immigration, because of course it is. But it doesn't matter to them. And I'm watching, like, it's literally like they're destroying their own civilization, and they're just willingly doing it. I've never seen anything like it.
Don, always good to talk to you. Thank you so much. Keep up the good work. And
thank you.
And we'll do anything we can to help. Thank you. Donald Trump Jr. You bet.